Hi, I'm Daniel, and I'm doing an analysis of a single movie, and that being stepping into discussing Toy Story 4 in the month before it stopped being the last movie in this franchise. This movie is certainly divisive, and it feels like it's got even more in the years since its release. While the movie was always considered the weakest, it seemed mostly acclaimed on release, although it winning the Oscar over Kells did seem to sour people on it. I love both movies, but it really should have been Kells that won for the original idea with inventive animation over this. Many critics of Toy Story 4 call it unnecessary, which is a very subjective thing, and debatably can only apply to sequels that end in the same place as the previous film. I don't speak for everyone, but I can personally attest that my opinion on this franchise and how often I think about it is greatly improved by this film's existence. What it added to the themes of the franchise just really interests me, alongside being another fun and beautiful movie in this great Pixar franchise. It's fine to not like what this movie did. I'm sure there's valid criticism out there. Yokai, it's a movie with easy threshold of as long as they aren't seriously complaining about a child using interest in a toy, then they have reasonable thoughts on the movie. This might just be one of those cases where those who don't like the movie won't see what I see, and vice versa. I just recommend to those who don't outright dislike this movie who's only seen it once to rewatch it, because I liked it at first, but it took the second watch for me to really love it, we're getting better each watch. Anyway, I'm just sharing my own take on why I find this movie so amazing. The switch in tone away from being careful about a toy concept and instead capturing a more emotional connection to the life for a toy just really works for me. I find such a beautiful and profound arc around the change of perspective that all culminates in the ending that I want to look at in this video. One thing I want to start in is Toy Story 3, a movie that so often simplifies just this ending, when I find the whole prison break camp villain to be most of the reason why it's my best one. The ending is still really great and emotional, but personally, when I think of the movie as a whole, I think of the Sunnyside Daycare before the ending. Toy Story 4, while being great the whole way through, and Forky is such a fun character to add, is a movie I mainly think for the ending, which is why this video is focused on that. But just on Toy Story 3, what thematically was interesting about that is how it followed up on the thread of if Andy rose up. The setup for the others to be together in the attic and Woody going to college with Andy would have worked. However, this has Woody making a decision where yet to go if that thought need to be there for Andy, and moving on to something now bring him and the others more fulfillment. While this still has that fulfillment in Q being played with and the family sticking together, the groundwork of Woody waking a change from what he's known feels there for the fourth movie to expand on. To start with, this definitively feels like Woody's movie, with both people and Fork having some development, Buzz being sport for Woody and everyone else being relegated to the side. Honestly, I don't find this that strange development, because while the first movie had them feel like co-leads, the second and third had Buzz in the more comedic side because with the side cast, while Woody had the more personal arc. The side characters are very fun, but they had time, and this avoids the failure of many sequels to be filled with too many characters having their own subplot, by keeping the narrative focused on Woody's arc and some of the new characters. While some side arcs do feel a bit underdeveloped, like Ducky and Bunny and Jessie, it doesn't really get in the way what I love here. Anyway, this movie follows up Toy Story 3, with Woody no longer one of Bunny's favourite toys, being kept in a closet and struggling to adapt to a different kid. He even tries to manufacture a moment by hiding in a backpack when she was nervous for the first day taster, which leads to Forky's creation. Protecting Forky, who becomes the most important toy for Bonnie, from throwing himself away, becomes this new way for Woody to feel he has a purpose that it describes his inner voice telling him to do that. Yes, the Buzz inner voice running gag is often unfunny, but I like how it works in a contrast that Buzz doesn't know that same need. Woody is used to having some title as head toy, and that want to accomplish something is getting desperate. I love how the song I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away, while literally about Forky throwing himself in the trash, can also refer to Woody's unhealthy need. I also like when the movie handles the idea of fixed beef for what you are from the main characters. Forky believing he is trash is such a great parallel to Buzz believing he was a space ranger in the first movie. That is similar to how Woody sees himself as a toy. While he is that, that isn't all he has to be. The formula of Woody helping another character discover or rediscover what it means to be a toy is subverted very well through his dynamic with Bo Peep. You would expect this to be another Buzz, Jessie or 4K, where he shows her something, but she doesn't need to learn the importance of a toy to a kid because she knows that, and is already over that to do more good as a Yoss toy. Woody, however, does get to do that again with Gabby Gabby, With how we understand how she never got the chance to be his kid's special toy and decides to give up his voice box. This symbolic is him starting to let go of what the inner voice tells him to, but also a little separation from him as a collectible and toy, now leaving that part of him behind. After Gabby's rejection, Woody goes out of thinking what's best for Bonnie to help another toy in need, who finds a way on her own to help the kid due to him pushing her to get through that rejection. Even with what he said about being the lost toy, Bo still came back to him and helps them get to the carousel in time for him to rejoin the others, but then he has some hesitation. This ending involves Woody not wanting to leave Bo again, for Buzz to say she'll be okay, Bonnie will be okay. That pause before he emphasizes who he's talking about is just so genius and emotionally effective. To have what he was mainly worried about be reassured as not mattering, and to listen to his inner voice in a different way this time. Buzz allowing him to go after all this time knowing what's best just really works. His character doesn't feel ruined just for one dumb joke. Woody runs back to embrace Bo, all he has this beautiful score plays. Randy Newman goes so hard with the music in all these movies, this especially just feels so effective and emotional in just the sound. I love the movie Marriage Story and its great score, but I think Randy Newman got the Oscar nomination for the wrong 2019 movie. This scene has all the others come on board to say goodbye, not verbally just by Yuck saying all. I originally wanted more personal goodbyes to them like Annie did introducing each other to Bonnie, but now feel it's best yet not said. They are also on a time crunch with Bonnie's parents getting in the van, and somehow thought he had enough time to get up with them, but it's best not to question things like that in these movies. They drive away while Woody and Bo run up the top of the carousel to watch them depart. Rex asks, does this make Woody a Yoss toy? For Buzz to say he's not Yoss, not anymore. To infinity, and Woody finishes the and beyond, showing they're still connected even when apart. It zooms up to a night sky after the previous cloud ending, showing the end of the franchise. Right? I'm wondering what sky Toy Story 5 getting on the top of night sky, a story of eclipse. This scene is so masterful, but we may want to talk about the ending point itself, starting just on the angle of Woody separated from the gang. I understand the sentiment of wanting them to stay together. The Toy Story 3 credit song is yet to be called We Belong Together, with the line gonna stay this way forever. However, life is about change and impermanence, and while fiction is fiction it doesn't need to reflect that, I really like the way this does. The late 2010s has several animated sequels due to the separation ending. While I'm not naming which to avoid spoiling extra movies, and while I think most also work well at this, I find this easily the best to do it. Having Buzz reassure Woody that Bonnie will be okay, and essentially they all will be with that connection continuing past that, just works really well with Woody's whole journey being made of selfish choices, well in the sequels at least, and thinking for a collective to finally discover himself and what he wants out of life as more than just a toy. Many feel this goes against what the previous movie said about the purpose of a toy, and in some ways it does, but really begins to question that toys are beings that have free will and don't always have to live in service to a kid. A large amount of toys produced probably wouldn't even get to be paid with. The opening scene having the line toy get lost every day shows that point, with Woody having to consider that decision before. He has now reached a point where he's growing old and past what Andy gave him, in more ways than just Bonnie not playing with him as much. The confines and social conventions he lived by is suffocating him, and I always like stories about breaking away from that. With him breaking through the idea of needing an owner, he can do better and more as a lost toy, helping toys who never got that chance, with the credit scene showing them do that. Something about him stepping back to play more of a helper role really works to see a change of mind happen later in life. Arcs about getting go aren't new, but I could tackles that deeply human idea from the perspective of a toy. Him clinging onto finding purpose as a toy for Bonnie before finding fulfillment with Bo, and outside of what is known is very compelling. I find past this story with Willie continuing past his prime and struggling to move on to represent the franchise as a whole. I thought maybe seemed like a bad idea, but felt right when I got to Woody showing that settling down after what they've been doing for years. As opposed to the last movie ending with them still being played with just with a different kid. Granted, this angle of ending doesn't work as well with a fifth movie, but I still think it's a strong way to lead the story. Granted, I do feel like this might have started being made for money as opposed to actually continuing Woody's story. And with how much this movie got rewritten in the years, I doubt Woody even was always part of the plan. Still, whether something was made out of pure artistic merit doesn't change how beautiful the final product ended up. Even with how great to amazing the first three movies are, Toy Story 4 really moved me in a way I still can't exactly pin down, despite making this whole video about it. While Toy Story 3 is the best movie in my opinion, this has to be my personal favourite of the franchise I love so much. In conclusion, I hope you enjoyed this nicest around a single movie. Even with me needing to take time to think how to word some structure points, I really like what I got to convey with this. Toy Story 5 will be out soon, I plan to review it. I hope it's at least good, even if I doubt it'll prove it worth it to continue from the fourth. At least it isn't selling itself as the final one for a third time, and sequels don't affect the quality of a previous installment. I wonder if that will lead to more nostalgia looking fondly on this in comparison, or lead to most grouping them together when saying 3 should have been the ending. All I know is that I'll split the fan base into far more camps than just the three of those who love, hate, or just like Toy Story 4, with the few dislikes of Toy Story 3 in their own corner. I hope no matter what take you have on that, you appreciate hearing my take on this movie if you watch to the end. Maybe there'll be more uploads soon, now I got past writing this video I wanted to make for years, and the UK heat. The end.